Hey guys, it's me, Jasmine, and as you know, I do love boba, but I'm also super passionate about dumplings. Dumplings are just magical. They're like little baskets of heaven and love. They remind me of family, gathering with your friends, and something I think that is so special about them is that each family has a different way of making them. They all partake in the culture and share their love for dumplings. So today I'm gonna show you how to make 2-minute, 20-minute, and 2-day dumplings. So whether you have a couple of minutes or a couple of days, you can experience the magic of this dish. Let's get started. So this first recipe is the 2-minute dumpling. This is great in a pinch. Not the most traditional way to make it, but if you want something quick, this will do great. I have my ingredients for the filling: mushrooms, Napa cabbage, chives, cilantro, some sesame oil, soy sauce, hoisin, cornstarch, and just a pinch of salt. And now we're just going to mince this. You can do all of this by hand, but a processor saves a lot of time. Now I'm taking a heaping teaspoon of filling. I'm adding it to my dumpling wrapper. Then I'll dip my finger in some water and run it along the edges of the dumpling wrapper. Then you'll take the bottom corner, match it with the top corner. Make sure to squeeze out all the air that you can, and then make sure to seal the sides. And then there it is, our first dumpling. My last one, just gonna add it to my bowl. Gonna just add some water until they're all covered. And just to keep them from sticking, I'm adding some sesame oil. I'm so excited to eat these. I do feel like my ancestors will come down and slap me in the face for making this in a non-traditional way, but I'm sharing the love of dumplings with everyone. I'm adding some plastic wrap on top, and we're just gonna put this in the microwave for 2 minutes, stirring halfway through. Our dumplings are ready. I'm just gonna take them out of the bowl with this slotted spoon here. I also have my sauce. I'm using soy sauce, black vinegar, and some chili oil. I love my dumplings super saucy, so I'm gonna take my sauce, pour it all over my dumplings, and top it with some cilantro. Our 2-minute dumplings are done. They look amazing, but you know what? Let's give them a try. Cheers. That filling is so good, super flavorful. That sauce really brings it all together. Make sure you don't overcook the wrapper or else it'll get really gummy. For 2 minutes, this is good, but if you have a little bit more time and want something great, stick around for our next recipe. All right, 20-minute crispy pork dumplings. I love these, so let's start by making our filling. I'm gonna start with some cabbage, some pork, ginger, scallions, soy sauce, dark soy sauce, sesame oil, Shaoxing wine. This is very important to put in your filling. It helps cut through that like porkiness of the meat. And if you don't have this, you might find it to be a little porky. Some cornstarch, half an egg. The cornstarch will just help bind it along with our egg, and a pinch of salt. Now I'm just gonna mix all this together. Our filling is done. Let's get to assembling. So I have my wrapper here. I'm just scooping some filling, placing it in the center. Now I'm gonna take some water. You saw me do this in the last one. Now I'm gonna take the center on the bottom, match it with the top. I'm gonna fold this outer edge in, and then as we come to a close, I'm gonna fold this outer fold well, and just pinching on the sides. Now I like to take this part and curl it towards me just a little bit, and now we're gonna repeat on the other side. I think if you're making dumplings for the first time, this might feel a little bit stressful, but after a few, you'll get it down and you'll have yourself a cute little dumpling. And then I'm putting it on a lightly floured sheet tray here. If your workstation is super warm, the wrappers can get a little soggy and start to stick, so I like to have it lightly floured. So I'm gonna keep going until I've made 24 dumplings. My dumpling babies are done. I'm ready to pan fry these for that crispy bottom. Let me go get my pan. It's time to cook the pot stickers. I have some oil on my pan here, so I'm just gonna place dumplings all around the pan. I like to do a circular motion. You wanna avoid overcrowding the pan because you don't want them to stick together, and also you want to avoid cooking them unevenly. Right when I put them down, I like to move them just a little bit, just to make sure the bottoms aren't sticking. So once the bottoms of your dumplings are golden brown like this, we can go ahead and add some water to finish cooking it with some steam. So this is another reason why you don't want your pan to be super hot, because once you add your water into the oil, it can splatter and it hurts. Speaking from experience. So once these are done, I'm gonna finish the second batch and we will be very close to eating. Are you excited? Yeah, these are about done. I'm ready to eat. Look how beautifully crispy and golden brown it is. Our dumplings are ready. Let's go ahead and plate them. It smells so freaking good. I'm just fanning them out, leaving some of the crispy sides up. and that'll help keep them nice and crispy. I'm just gonna sprinkle some scallions on top and some toasted sesame seeds. I'm gonna dip my dumpling in my sauce. To make the sauce, I whisk together chili oil, low sodium soy sauce, black vinegar, sesame oil, brown sugar, and ginger. So I like to completely dunk my dumpling in the sauce, and after the first bite of my pot sticker, I dunk it again and let the sauce infiltrate the entire dumpling wrapper. That crispy bottom has a great crunch, the bounciness of the wrapper, and the filling has like the perfect amount of flavor. These are so good. I am going to finish all of them, but again, stick around for the next one. We're making xiaolongbao 2 days. If you got 2 days, can we cut for like 5 minutes so I can just really finish this whole plate? Yeah. Okay, great. On to our final recipe of the day. This one takes 2 days, but is seriously a showstopper. These are soup dumplings. We call them xiaolongbao. Translated, it's little basket bun. We are gonna start by making the pork broth, which actually takes the whole first day, but it's worth it. To get started, I already have some boiled pork neck and pork skin. For this, I've added my pork neck and my pork skin, covered it with water about 2 inches above. I brought it to a boil, strained it, and rinsed it with cold water. This will help our broth gelatinize so we can easily incorporate it into our soup dumpling. I'm gonna add water, ginger, scallion, rice wine, and peppercorn. All of these mixed together will help enrich the flavor. The rice wine and ginger will help cut through that porkiness. So a lot of recipes for soup dumplings actually use gelatin as a shortcut, but we're using pork neck and pork skin because it has natural gelatin in it. You can totally use gelatin if you want, but today we're gonna go the more traditional route. Now we're just gonna let it come to a boil. We'll let it simmer for a couple hours, occasionally skimming the top. All right, now I'm just gonna strain them so that we get a very smooth and clean broth. We're gonna let this cool and set it in the fridge overnight. All right, now it's time to make our pork filling. I'm adding some ground pork, ginger, scallions, soy sauce, sesame oil, rice wine, sugar, and lastly, some water. Now I'm just gonna mix this together. It already smells so good. Yes, it's day 2. I'm wearing the same shirt because we had pork broth prepared. Katie didn't want to stay overnight.
I don't want to come back tomorrow.
All right, this filling is done. We're going a little extra. If you want to know how to make dough from scratch, that's what we're doing next. First, I'm adding some flour, salt, and some warm water. I personally like to mix with chopsticks, what I grew up with. So once I get a dough formed, I'm gonna transfer it to my work surface. You want the dough to be really smooth. If you feel like your dough's a little sticky, you can add just a little bit of flour and knead it for about 20 minutes. All right, the dough is done. Now I am just gonna take some plastic wrap. We're gonna let it rest for 30 minutes. So our dough has rested, so we are going to begin rolling out our wrappers. So I've divided the dough into 2. I don't want it to dry out, so I'm just gonna cover it with a damp towel. And I'm rolling this to about an inch thick log, and I am going to split this into 12 equal pieces. I rotate it as I go because if you keep doing it in the same way, it just kind of flattens and it's harder to gauge that evenness. While these are not being rolled out, I'm just gonna take these and put it under my damp towel. So I'm gonna roll this into a ball. I'm gonna use my palm and press it down. And at this point, you don't want your dough to be super sticky. Flour generously as needed. Once you have it in a flat circle, we're just gonna roll it out until it's about 3 inches in diameter. And now you wanna leave the center of your wrapper slightly thicker than your edges. So I'm holding my wrapper with my non-dominant hand, and on the side furthest away from me, and with my dominant hand, I'm using my roller and just kind of starting this motion, pick this up, and I just kind of rotate it to get the edges. So I start the pressure closer to the middle of the wrapper. So that way the thicker side of the dough can press outwards. And there you have it, a little wrapper. Now I'm gonna repeat this process until I've used up all my dough. Time to assemble. I have all my wrappers here covered with a damp towel. Now we can begin filling and folding. By the way, look, that was our broth. Move quickly because this really will turn to soup. I have my wrapper. I'm going to add a little bit of filling, a little bit of crab paste. Now I'm gonna add some of the soup and I'm gonna begin pleating. And I'm not using water for this. So I'm kind of just pushing one side until it folds and pinching it together and trying to pleat the same amount of dough, fold after fold. So you really wanna make sure it's sealed at the top because the soup will spill out. So cute. Let's repeat this a few more times until we have no more wrappers. All right, it's time to cook. I'm gonna put my bamboo steamer on top of my pot, and then I'm gonna lay some Napa cabbage. This will keep it from sticking onto the bamboo steamer. Now I'm putting my soup dumplings on the cabbage. Now we're gonna do the second row. You wanna make sure you give them enough space because they'll just expand a little bit. They're so cute. Bye. Love you. Now we're gonna let these steam for 8 minutes until they're done. The soup dumplings are done and I am ready to feast. Okay, so here we have a set of very traditional dipping sauces. We have black vinegar, homemade chili oil, and thinly sliced ginger. So this is how I usually eat it. I'll take a small bite, and then when it's piping hot, I like to suck out the soup, and then I dip it in my black vinegar, chili oil. The soup melts into your mouth. The pork and the crab together are super, super tender, and that skin and that soup dumpling wrapper is nice and thin. Everything just works together so perfectly. These are so delicious. I know they took 2 days to make, but it's super worth it. I'm happy that I made all these dumplings, and I'm happy I get to eat all of them. Today was so much fun. I've gotten to show you how to make 2-minute veggie dumplings, 20-minute crispy pork dumplings, and 2-day xiaolongbaos or soup dumplings. These were so delicious. I know every family has their own way of making dumplings. If you have a special recipe that you'd like to share, make sure to leave it in the comments below. And remember, there's always time for dumplings. Bye!
Oh, yes!